Is the Mindful Man reading another chapter entitled Big Ben from my book on Amazon KDP, which you can actually download free. Okay. Josh looked up at Big Ben and he was amazed at the size of it. He wondered what they would do if the hands stopped, and he was so engrossed that he didn't notice the busy traffic and the people passing by. Living in the countryside, he was unused to such hustle and bustle, and he found it at once exciting and frightening. He paused for pictures at all the famous landmarks, and they walked on to Trafalgar Square, and Tom helped Josh climb onto the lions, even though he was a little old to do so. Then they headed for Hyde Park, sipping milkshakes and looking like typical tourists. Josh had never been so happy, and he loved London. It was so exciting. The pain of the last few weeks melted away, and when the sun came out and glistened on the pond, it was as if a new bright future had opened up before them. Josh was amazed at the crowds outside Buckingham Palace, and he wondered if the Queen would be coming out to greet people. It was like a fairy tale. After a few hours of looking, they were exhausted, and Tom suggested having something to eat. The problem was there was so much choice it was difficult to make a decision. Finally, they settled on a pizza, which was something they never had. They sat together on a park bench and dived in. Tom was pleased that Josh was smiling and looking happy, as he was all he had in the world, and he wanted the best for him. They were a team, and he was determined they would help each other keep going. Newly energized, they set off to the National Gallery and spent the hours looking at all of the wonderful paintings. It was an education for them both. Josh felt like taking the Monet home with him, as they were so beautiful. But he knew he couldn't do that. Soon it was time to go home. They'd had a great time, but night was drawing in. Tom sat on the comfy leather seat. He could feel himself getting sleepy. As he watched the windscreen wipers swish across the screen. He turned on the radio to drown out Josh's snoring and to keep him awake too. The car bumped through the leafy country lanes as Tom had gone out of his way to avoid the motorway, and he had driven down every backwater and little-known road and lane he could think of. Josh woke as soon as they pulled into the courtyard, and the comforting sound of the crunching of the gravel made him feel at home. Fancy a hot chocolate? It's a nightcap, Tom said, as they finally arrived home and sat down. Yes, please, said Josh. It was just what he needed after such an enjoyable but tiring day. It was a lovely, refreshing drink, and they were both pleased with their exploits. Here's to the next adventure, said Tom, and they clinked their glasses. Josh could barely climb the stairs to bed as he was so exhausted. As soon as his head hit the pillow, he was asleep.